Hello and welcome to the Scholarship Matinee here at Freedom Village. Our Scholarship Matinee has become a very special part of our anniversary celebrations. And this year, it's our 30th anniversary. Well, this year is going to be a little bit different because instead of talking to a standing room only crowd in the auditorium, I'm talking to you in your apartments, on TV, on your cell phones, or your laptops. These little adjustments, however, do not diminish the significance of this day. Each year, this day at Freedom Village is one of the highlights for me. This day is just one of those very special times when we all stand back and say, this is what living and working at Freedom Village is all about. This is one of those special things that some of the feelings surrounding it can't be described. It's a part of that special spirit that we feel every day and which will be talked about, I hope, as long as we exist. I think it's always appropriate, especially since we have new residents and special guests and family members and new team members in our viewing audience each year. I think we need to do a little reminiscing about the history, and it starts out way back in the Model Center when we started, before we were even built, when we started pancake breakfasts to try to get prospective residents to come in and see us. And then, when the building opened in 1991, a group of residents asked if they could use the wonderful sidewalk cafe on Saturday mornings to bring everybody together for a social time and eating time. So, the pancakes continued. Then came the question, what do we do with the proceeds? The answer, let's start a scholarship fund. And the rest is history, so they say. Today, there are actually two funds kept at the Community Foundation here in Holland, the Pancake Fund and the Endowment Fund. And the money is given from a lot of different sources by a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons. The original Freedom Village Residents Scholarship Committee met with the recipients in the private dining room and gave them their checks. But since 1995, we decided to have a program so that all the rest of you could get to meet these great team members. The location has moved from the bistro, we outgrew that, to the atrium, we outgrew that, and now in the auditorium, and now to TV. But the celebratory atmosphere has stayed the same. This is a special day today. We as a family, residents and staff, have come together virtually to celebrate and honor our scholarship winners. It has been evident each year by the sizes of the crowd that there's a lot of pride and interest in the future of our wonderful students who work here at Freedom Village. And there are probably more of you watching on TV today than what would fit in the auditorium. I know wherever you are excited to get to know our students better and to hear about the ambitious future plans of our winners. And we look forward to the opportunity to share our wishes for success with them, which you can do when you see them. Well, I can't believe this is our 30th year. I know some of you wonder how the scholarship process works. It's a somewhat formal process, like many of the other area scholarship procedures, and our resident committee takes their job seriously because they are responsible for spending the hard-earned funds in a responsible way, and they are thorough. First, students fill out a 2-page application that asks for transcripts and grade point averages, where they'd like to go to school, what they'd like to study or are already studying. They share with us their hobbies and outside activities, honors and awards. It shows their other interests, and it shows their character. Recommendations come from counselors, teachers, professors, or previous employers, and the student has an opportunity to share in an essay their plans for the future and why they would like a Freedom Village scholarship. Each applicant's performance is evaluated by his or her immediate supervisor or department head, and the employee must be in good standing. We look at their length of service as well as their financial need. The committee then reviews the applications, and then we interview each candidate personally. When all the interviews are completed, each committee member separately evaluates all applications. The committee takes this process seriously, and the hours of time it takes are thoughtfully but eagerly given. This year was especially challenging as this group of applicants was so well qualified. And speaking of committee, I'd like to take the time to recognize and publicly thank all the current members of the committee. They love this committee. They love the students and are truly dedicated and faithful, wholehearted supporters of the Residence Scholarship Fund. I'd also like to introduce the current members. This gives you an opportunity to know who they are, even though you can't see them today. I'd like to publicly thank them for the time and energy they put into the process of carefully selecting the winners, which this year was 14. Before I do that, I'd like to sincerely thank Ellie Norden, Don Van Leer, and Betty Williams. They are dedicated, faithful, longtime members of the Freedom Village Residence Scholarship Committee, and they retired this year. I don't have any photos of them, but each one of these three were given a certificate that outlined the thanks that we had and the years of service given. And they each received a bouquet of flowers, which I personally delivered. What a privilege. This little piece of clip art that you see on the slide gives all the ways that we want to thank them. Their wonderful contributions to the scholarship committee were so appreciated. Well, those three are our retirees. So now for our current members. Please picture them in your mind, and when you see them, thank them also for their service on your behalf. These people are Harold Gazan, Marty Greendonner, Terry Mahosky, Betty Van Weingarten, Lee Tenbrink, Al Gibson, Barb Neville, Judy Hazelton, and Sue Lynn. It is truly a pleasure and an honor to be in the company of this group of residents. Not only are they interested, they are truly caring and insightful, asking questions, encouraging students, and also challenging students when needed. They are huge supporters of education and the Scholarship Fund. On behalf of the Residence Scholarship Committee, I have many thanks to share because this is where this year's over $35,000 came from. And yes, you heard me right. This is the sum we have been privileged to distribute this year. You would think that with COVID restrictions and the inability to hold some of the activities like we were used to, that our amount for awards would be way down. But if you think that, you do not know the Freedom Village residents, because they are some of the most creative, energetic, and generous people you could ever meet. That is why we have $35,000 to spend. Some of it is that portion of the spendable earnings from the endowment fund, but $23,000 of it is from donations. Listen to this. Thanks goes out to all the Pancake Breakfast volunteer workers and the Pancake Committee who so generously and faithfully give of their time. And even though they couldn't make pancakes every Saturday, they passed out pancakes and waffles to resident apartments. They didn't ask for donations, but residents donated. And we look forward to the day when we can do this again, as far as the pancake breakfast in the bistro. And it's looking like it might be October, so not too much longer to wait. From my sources, I have learned that there's a group of over 50 residents who help out with the Saturday pancake breakfasts week after week. And I encourage you, they will accept more. Thanks goes out to the hobby shoppers for their generosity. Year after year, they make contributions to the scholarship fund. We can't help, when we talk about history, to look back and think of Joe Seaman and Mike DeGood, who were a big part of getting the wood shop involved with the Pancake Fund and Freedom Village Scholarship Fund. The ripples of that generosity has gone on for 30 years. And how about all the folks that work through arts and crafts? They are to be thanked. Sales of beautiful handmade items and gifts from the arts and crafts sales were added to our scholarship fund by doing window sales from the second floor, quilling cards for all occasions, growing violets, selling glassware, and all kinds of other gift ideas. And they do mending or sell items that they make throughout the year. They continue to give me little envelopes of cash. We had the sale of masks. And how about their Christmas mini bazaar or their artsy craftsy sale? Some have baked blueberry pies or other goodies. Some have made canned goods, jams, jellies, etc. They've donated jewelry, grown plants, donated auction items, and the list goes on. The heart of these people is so big. The contribution from the 2020 bazaar was sizable. And this summer, there were residents baking pies and just last week selling peaches and doing other creative things in light of the limitations that we have with COVID. That does not stop the determined and enthusiastic Freedom Village residents. Other creative contributions came from Long John sales, that was on April Fool's Day, punchki sales, and don't forget, just last week, that peach season. The library group traditionally has donated a portion of their book sale profits for the scholarship. The bingo players donate a portion of their pot to the scholarship. Other very generous contributions this year came from residents and families who asked that the scholarship fund be named as a memorial for their loved one. The Ballards did this for Carolyn. Children and parents made that decision. The families of Ed Fensel and Dick Rosensteel also decided on the scholarship fund. And then there's residents and friends and family members who remembered their friends and neighbors with scholarship memorials in memory of John Goodrich, Jim Strickland, and Ruth Bosco. The golfers, too, get in on it. They have given part of their scramble money to the fund. And there was even a little bit left over in the Hope College Bus Fund, and that got put into the Freedom Village Scholarship cause. The leader of the Marathon Bridge group even gave a portion of their money raised. Don Vandenbosch does conversions from photos and slides to updated storage on DVD, and he donates that to the scholarship fund. There are those who donate money they would have spent on birthday cards or Christmas gift wrapping or whatever. And the cards for special occasions are free outside my office. Activities has even donated money from Happy Grams, from door decorating contests, and other such fun endeavors. And for many of you, your charity of choice was the Scholarship Fund. Thank you. Thanks to all the residents, many of them anonymous, who through various other means and for various reasons, and sometimes for no reason at all, have donated to the Scholarship Fund. And lastly, thanks goes to the Community Foundation of the Holland Zeeland area and its staff for watching over our accounts and for being so gracious and cooperative as we work together. Grand totals from 1992 through today, we will have awarded 657 scholarships, totaling over $700,000. This is incredible. And in that same period of time, our Freedom Village Endowed Scholarship Fund, which started out with a contribution of $1,000, is now over $450,000. And as I mentioned before, the committee can vote to use a portion of the earnings of that fund, or they can leave the earnings in and have them continue with that growth process. At this point in our program, we would usually ask for parents, relatives, and friends of our scholarship recipients from outside of Freedom Village to stand and be recognized. But we can't do that this year. They have been given the opportunity, though, to watch this program by joining in on a Zoom connection, so we can still offer them our appreciation. A big thank you to all of you who have supported and encouraged these students throughout their years of schooling. We, as a community, are blessed to have such wonderful team members. They make Freedom Village the success that it is today, and why people say this is the place to be. Well, you just heard all kinds of thank yous. What for? It's not so much for the money and the amount, as much as it is for a different generosity. The generosity of giving of yourselves selflessly, with eyes and hearts looking beyond oneself at others and to the future. Just like our story. Those of you who have been here before or have been to a scholarship matinee before, you know that each year I try to find a story or a program, hopefully, that gives our scholarship recipients, families, residents, and myself something to think about. And this story is no different. It's entitled The Red Rowboat. One day, a man was asked to paint a boat by an owner of the boat. He brought with him paint and brushes and began to paint the boat a bright red as the owner asked him. While painting, he realized there was a hole in the hull and decided to repair it. When finished painting, he received his money and left. The next day, the owner of the boat came to the painter and presented him with a nice check, much higher than the payment for painting. The painter was surprised. "You've already paid me for painting the boat," he said. "But this is not for the paint job. It's for having repaired the hole in the boat." "Ah, but it was such a small service. Certainly it's not worth paying me such a high amount for something so insignificant." "My dear friend, you do not understand. Let me tell you what happened. When I asked you to paint the boat, I forgot to mention about the hole. When the boat dried, my kids went on a fishing trip. They did not know there was a hole. I was not home at the time. When I returned and noticed they had taken the boat, I was desperate because I remembered the boat had a hole. Imagine my relief and joy when I saw them returning from fishing. Then I examined the boat, and I found that you had repaired the hole. You see now what you did? You saved the life of my children. I do not have enough money to pay you for your small good deed." And the moral of the story is, so no matter who, when, or how, just continue to help, sustain, wipe tears, listen attentively, and carefully repair all the leaks you find, because you never know when one is in need of us or when God holds a pleasant surprise for us to be helpful and important to someone. As a token of our congratulations to our students, to help them remember the lesson of the red rowboat and remind each of them to always do their best and carefully repair all the leaks, our gift to them is a throw pillow with an artist's rendering of a red rowboat. The card tied to the gift bag displays the moral of the story, which we just read. May we each think beyond ourselves and be doers of good deeds, wise in our actions and attitudes, and stop to reflect. Is this my best? Is there a leak I can repair? Today, you will hear a snippet of each award winner's life, some little pieces of who they are and what they hope to be. You'll hear examples of them doing their best. May you be blessed by listening, just as many of them have said how enriched they are by being here with you. So, let's begin. After years of trying to mix up the students and introduce them in a variety of ways, like longevity or the college they were attending or good old alphabetical order, today we are sharing their stories in the order that the committee heard them. In contrast this year, We were able to hold our scholarship interviews around the table in the arts and crafts room with all the committee members present. It was wonderful to feel like normal again. Ella Bates got us off to a good start as our beginning interviewee. She is a Zeeland East High School grad whose senior year was a mixture of remote and in-person classes, in which her favorites were anatomy, biology, forensics, and AP psychology. In fact, she took 6 AP courses. She has chosen to head north to school to Marquette and Northern Michigan University, where she has been accepted into their honors program. And in fact, that's where Ella was during our scholarship matinee. This might be a great adventure land for someone like her who enjoys skiing and hiking. She liked all her science classes in high school and even her forensics class in her senior year. Her major field of study at Northern is going to be forensic anthropology, fueled in part by shows like 2020, etc. Her goal is to become a crime scene investigator. She applied and got a job with the research manager of the new NMU Forensic Research Outdoor Station, which is highly unusual for a freshman. Besides having a 4-point average, Ella was also involved and active in youth group at Grace Chapel, dance, work, National Honor Society, where she did 10 hours of volunteering each semester. She gives blood, tutors and volunteers at Compassionate Heart Ministries, and also was a Z-Link mentoring a special needs student during school. Akshita Karthikeyan graduated last year from Black River Public School at the age of 16, where she was head of National Honor Society and a member of Student Council, ending up as a salutatorian of her class. She began her college at MSU Lyman Briggs Honors College with 20 credits already. She has come a very long way, as she remembers riding to school as a very young student on the back of her grandfather's motorcycle, and now here she is at a large university. In fact, the majority of her family is still in India. When we asked Akshita her area of interest, it's molecular genetics, human biology, and biochemistry, with a goal of being a doctor and doing research. During the school year, even with COVID, she volunteered her time with MSU's Honors x2 program, mentoring an elementary student. She also volunteered with Michigan Youth Leadership Conference and was vice president of its community board. Her meetings were online, so she could still stay involved. Even though she's beginning her sophomore year, she has not been on campus yet. She has also had a busy summer with working and taking summer classes in physics. She credits Freedom Village with the ability that she has learned to multitask. In her essay, she said, "I want to be a part of something bigger than myself. I want to do good for myself, my family, and everyone around me." One of her recommenders confirmed that by saying, "This girl has big plans. You might not hear her name or see her face, but she'll be changing the world." Maya Rooks is possibly one of our most long-term servers, starting here in 2016. She has been attending Calvin University with a major in speech pathology. She will be taking a test this year to see if she can be part of the 5-year program. In addition, next year she will begin clinicals. She is one ambitious person because you will find her working here as well as working at the university in the janitorial cleaning service. Her application said that she works 4 jobs, 2 during college and 3 in the summer. Her current goal is to end up working in either a hospital setting or a nursing home to work with patients with speech impairments due to brain trauma or Alzheimer's. Learning the anatomy and physiology of the brain and how that plays a role in the physical manifestation of our speech was a side of speech pathology that specifically caught her eye. Professors surprised her a lot, especially the effort they gave to keep up relationships during COVID. We had learned a couple years ago that Maya taught herself sign language and took classes at Davenport, and then looked for ways that she could use her knowledge to help kids. We also connected Maya with our own speech pathologist, Sarah Hall, who just recently retired. Carlos Pinuco is beginning his junior year at MSU, which will be opening up in the fall. In fact, he was at school the day that we held the Scholarship Matinee and said that he was sorry that he couldn't be here with us. Carlos has ambitious plans to major in criminal justice and minor in human behavior, social work, and business. His goal is to be a detective, understanding that you start out as a police officer and then go to academy. He is also working a second job, Gentech's first shift from 6 to 2. His recommenders call him kind-hearted towards all he comes in contact with. When Carlos sets his sights on something, he gives it his all to achieve it. He is trustworthy, hardworking, and determined. Although this past year offered challenges, the chance to learn from home would become a blessing and a curse. This arrangement did relieve him of some of the financial burden that arises with living on campus, but deprives you of the interaction with classmates and professors. When I looked at what Carlos said last year, I'd like to quote, "Another year of growth, another year to reflect, another year to be thankful." He said, "This past year has given me plenty of opportunities for each of those things. And let's hope that this coming year will offer all those things." Scout Verdorn is also a 2019 high school graduate, and she's been attending Kendall College of Art and Design, which is a college under the Ferris State University umbrella. Her major field of study has remained unchanged, illustration. Kendall has a great placement program and a lot of contact through companies, and concepts are done by illustration. Scout, like Carlos, thought remote learning was an adjustment, to say the least. She said friends and faculty, though, were especially supportive. Besides the classes that support her goal of becoming an illustrator, she likes exploring ideas in her creative writing classes. And she found she enjoyed art history and seeing the impact throughout time as well as discovering a passion for capturing beauty in the world around her through photography. Even though she is learning new programs on the computer, she still loves the traditional methods and painting in acrylics and oil. And like every year, she has shared with the committee some examples of her work. And this year, we got to see a special piece which has been accepted into the exhibit at the Lowell Arts Council. A high compliment came from her professor of illustration, who said, "Scout's gonna go on to do great things." Isabel Telgenoff is a Zeeland West High School graduate who earned a 4-point GPA. Her favorite classes were dance, history, English, and psychology. With a love for clothing and putting things together, she did her research on possible colleges with degrees having to do with fashion, and Central Michigan University in Mount Pleasant had the best overall fashion program. In fact, she will be majoring in fashion merchandising and minoring in marketing. We had mentioned one of her favorite classes as dance, and she was in the Zeeland Dance Ensemble, the Zeeland Youth Dance Company, Dance Production Club, Zeeland High Players, and then mixed in there, Student Senate. Even in high school, along with dance, she took art classes and studies in textiles. One of her recommenders spoke about Isabel's volunteer opportunities by saying she has worked with her, Isabel, as a stage actor, assistant stage director, and at the Howard Miller Library as an event volunteer. Isabel has helped the library organize supplies and has completed other tasks for their annual summer reading club. She sets a wonderful example. This fall, Isabel is looking forward to being on her own, living on her own, and making connections. Her high school marketing teacher said she is good at including others, which will help her as she expects to move on to a large city like New York City after graduating from college to work in the fashion industry. And we will be excited to follow her on her journey. Jonna Hogan graduated this spring from Zeeland East, where she was active in varsity cheerleading for 4 years, both sideline and competitive. And in fact, she served 2 years as the captain. She even volunteered as a cheer coach assistant for 2 years. A mentor and positive influence she is to younger athletes. She listed one of her favorite classes as Z-Link, that pairs up a special needs student with another student to help them stay on course throughout the days of high school. This was perfect for Jonna, who has always wanted to be a teacher since kindergarten, but specifically a special education teacher. She said this was the greatest experience ever and the best 3 years of her life. She said that the teacher of the program graded her, and so she got feedback from the special education teacher. One of her recommenders said that Jonna was instrumental in helping the school expand and improve Z-Links. She sat with the students at lunch to provide friendship and assistance. She walked the halls with them, and she helped create after-school opportunities for these students. What a way to repair the leaks by personal involvement. To begin her college career, she is heading to Grand Valley this fall and is a first generation to go to college. She plans to get a degree in special education teaching, which is a 5-year process. Becoming a teacher has been a big dream of hers, and right now she cannot see herself doing anything else as a career. Viviana Martinez is an amazing young lady. Not only is she earning almost an entire grade point higher in college than she did in high school, but she is defying the odds and proving some people wrong. To save money for college, Vivi took a year off school to work, and she worked full-time, third shift at Gentex, where she learned to cut mirrors. She was told, once you don't go to school, it will be harder to start back. But for her, she has remained focused, and now paying for school seems much more reachable. Her goal is to go 2 years to GRCC and then transfer to Ferris. Her recommendation letter this year came from her team leader at Gentex, stating that Vivi was one of the best workers on his team. He talked about her having very high standards for herself, and she has a couple areas of career interest. That's why it says undecided. She's looking at criminal justice, corrections or probation officer, or healthcare. She loves helping people. Just like those of you who have inspired her and continue to encourage her, giving her that extra push. Yeah, you people. Vivi said, "It feels good to know that other people beside my family know I am capable of being successful in whatever career path I end up going into." Nicole Peel is a spring graduate of West Ottawa High School, where she has been part of the Spanish Immersion program since kindergarten. Her favorite classes were in the sciences, medical interventions, biology, anatomy, and chemistry. And she is heading off on August 26 to Western Michigan University in pursuit of a degree in nursing. She is quite familiar with the WMU campus because her older sister is already a junior there. Throughout her high school years, Nicole earned nearly a 4.0 average, was a member of the National Honor Society, volunteered at Holland Hospital, where she did errands and escorting and transporting. And she was part of the LINKS peer-to-peer program. LINKS is a program she had been involved with since her freshman year, where she was paired with a person with disabilities, and she followed them to their classes and helped and assisted however she could. Nicole says that she has a passion for helping others, and her experience serving the wonderful residents of Freedom Village has proved to her how she would like to continue doing this for the rest of her life. Couple that with her growing interest in the sciences, and she sees exploring a variety of nursing suiting her best. She is beyond grateful that the community of Freedom Village has offered to donate their own money in order to aid her future success. She says, "I assure you that I will pay it forward." Finishing her first year at GVSU is Ariana Rodriguez, who began working here on the 6th floor and has since transferred to the inn as a dietary aide. Ariana said her first year at college at Grand Valley State University has been one of the craziest, yet most rewarding years. For the fall semester, she was given the opportunity to live on campus and do a mix of in-person and online classes, until the end of November. Although it was a short period of time, this gave her an opportunity to learn more about the campus, which she liked, and gave her an opportunity to join a couple clubs. This year, she and her sister and 2 friends will be sharing a townhouse, which will save them money over living on campus, but they still are very close proximity. Ariana is right now interested in physical therapy and, following earning her BA, wants to go on for her master's, which will be approximately 3 additional years. For additional medical health-related experience, she is volunteering at Holland Community Hospital in the Errand and Escort department. She is considering changing her major to Allied Health Science with a minor, but that's not decided right now. She's got time. What she does know for sure is that healthcare is truly her calling, and she hopes to make a difference now and in the future, just like our painter of the red rowboat. Her sister, Lorena, followed right after her in the interview timetable. Lorena is working here as well as working 3rd shift at Herman Miller from 11 to 7. Lorena has some of the same experiences in her first year at Grand Valley State. We had to compliment her on the fact that her GPA is higher in college than high school, which, as mentioned before, is rarely seen in our experience. With her interest in criminal justice and juvenile justice, we asked her if she watched TV, and she mentioned the show Criminal Minds is one that she watches. Her uncle is one who has encouraged her in her career choice, as he graduated from the same school and is now a retired officer. From her first year at Grand Valley, she learned much more than she did in high school. And from her classes, she found more interesting career opportunities. Quote, "I learned from my professors and fellow students that life is so much more than achieving a degree, but using it towards my future to help others." This second year, she will be taking more justice classes, a couple which are downtown Grand Rapids. She has a big interest in working with troubled children as perhaps a parole officer or guidance counselor. And GVSU offers lots of internships, and she may be interested in helping at some of these agencies specializing in her field. One of her recommenders describes Lorena as extremely hardworking, motivated, and compassionate, who will not only thrive in her chosen field, but also brings others around here to another level because she is a leader. Her continued education would not only benefit her future, but also that of the community that she will be serving. What a delight to visit with Jennifer Fuentes Rivas, whom we've come to know quite well since this is her 3rd Freedom Village Scholarship. Jen began at Freedom Village in May of 2016 as a server in the 6th floor dining rooms, and in June of 2019 decided to become an RCA and work at the inn, since her future goals were in the medical field. Jen is attending North Park University in Chicago, actually 20 minutes north of the city, and she's beginning her senior year. She is not with us on the day of the scholarship matinee because she had to be back to school by August 9 to begin training for a job as desk attendant in her apartment complex, one of her jobs to earn money for school. Her plans also include becoming a certified phlebotomist and She hopes that that can be another way to earn money. Her plans this year include studying for the MCAT, M-C-A-T, Medical College Admissions Test. And she began studying already this summer, and she'll be studying also the fall semester because she plans to take the MCAT at the beginning of January next year. She is planning to take a gap year before going on to medical school, and during that time to really get more clinical hours and save up money. She feels that working here at the inn and seeing COVID accommodations firsthand and how she was part of meeting it head on is an experience from which she has learned a lot and can apply to other areas. She is volunteering at Metro Hospital in Grand Rapids this summer, besides working here. As far as medical school, she will begin applying in May and then decide what school after she sees where she's been accepted. And we will also be waiting to find out and see what her decision might be. It sounds like, depending on that, she might be giving up her Freedom Village career, and for that, we will miss her. Natalie Beckmajeff is one of our last scholars to interview due to her family being on a trip to Europe visiting family in the country of Georgia near Russia. Natalie is another graduate from West Ottawa this year. During her high school years, she was on the varsity dance team, as well as an active member of Avalon Dance Studio. In addition, she volunteered at Compassionate Heart Ministries, where she helped mentor and spend time with those who are not as fortunate as she. She also volunteers at the church she attends. When we talk about finishing strong, Natalie got straight A's throughout her senior year of high school, and she expects to receive college credits for some of those AP classes she took. When it came down to choosing a college, one of the ones she visited was Hope, where she really liked the chapel she experienced and said that Hope felt like a home environment. In fact, she has already taken some classes through Hope. Natalie looks forward to college, where she hopes to not only expand her knowledge through a great curriculum, but to think creatively and analytically. She also plans to take full advantage of the study abroad program to learn about the education systems and social cultures of other countries. As a multilingual student, she looks forward to meeting international students and people with different backgrounds and life experiences. And she is planning to continue dancing as a part of her college experience because it's an outlet for her. And we look forward to hearing about her next exciting chapter. Caitlin Sundling was our last scholar to interview, due partly to her schedule as well as a vacation mixed in there. Caitlin is a CNA at Freedom Village, and she's currently training as a medication technician, assisting the nurses and checking the medications so she can gain more experience. She was a 2018 graduate of Plainfield East High School, where she studied American Sign Language and Child Development. She is currently attending Grand Valley State University, where she is pursuing studies and is in the pre-physician assistant program. She lists her favorite classes as microbiology, human anatomy, and physiology. At school, she is on the dean's list and is a part of the honors program. She's also part of the microbiology club and has a leadership position in the belly dance club, which we were told is great exercise. Back to college, she plans to continue her education with graduate school and study to be a physician assistant. And Grand Valley has a great program. She is working on her application and expects to go 2 years after her 4-year degree. Another goal that shows Caitlin's heart for helping people is that after she is out of grad school, she wants to move back to near her family in Illinois and have her little sister live with her. Her little sister is 16 now and has autism, bilateral hearing loss, and narcolepsy. Because of these, it is highly unlikely that she can live on her own. But Caitlin wants her to experience as much of life as she can and be able to move out of her parents' home like other young people her age. This is just another example of our students thinking of others and helping someone in need. Well, I hope today that we've been inspired to make decisions, to do our best, and to be the kind of person who helps, sustains, wipes tears, listens attentively, and carefully repairs the leaks we find, knowing we will see the results of that choice and we will never have to wonder, what if? We hope that our scholarship winners think of the story when they see the throw pillow with the red rowboat. This kind of thinking, choices, and actions has been going on here at Freedom Village for at least 30 years, for that's our reputation. And, Lord willing, the legacy continues on and on. Well, a big hooray to all our winners. And last but not least, a big thank you to all the residents and families who support them and who made this day possible. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day.